everyone. I'm Donna, founder of SEEN, the Spiritual and Extraterrestrial Experiencers Network. And I'm just here in my dining room, actually. I actually didn't sleep all that well last night, and I'm here enjoying my organic juice and my organic coffee. Yes, I do mostly organic now. And I just want to, I just said, what, the heck with it. I'm tired, but put on the makeup. Come on, let's get on the camera. Let's bring it. Let's do it. Let's talk to some people about stuff that really matters. And so, if you're watching this channel, chances are you are either an extraterrestrial experiencer or a spiritual experiencer, or you might be like me and you're actually both. And for those of you who don't really know me all that well, my journey with all of this began early in life. I would say around the age of 4 or so. I was one of the people that we've all heard about, who had gray extraterrestrials or gray aliens, we'll say, in my bedroom. I was 4 years old, and I remember I woke up, and I mean, I'm old enough that nobody was talking about gray aliens back then. Okay. And I saw them at the foot of my bed, but off to the right-hand side of my bed. And, so I went through actually an abduction event and more than one, as a little girl. And I do remember some other events, where I was abducted one time with a friend off the beach in Naples, Florida. I cannot get this friend to come forward because, they just don't want to at the present time. So I respect that. And I give that person anonymity, of course. I've had missing time. I can tell you that I remember bits and pieces about what happened. And it was, it was pretty dark and scary, honestly. And, of course, now we're heading into the Christmas season, as you can maybe see from my decorations behind me here, at least some of them. And it seems like a fitting time to talk about all of this because I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure how long ago it was at this point. 12-ish years, we might be heading into 13 or close to that at this point. But that's when I had a spiritual awakening. And in my case, it came as a big ball of light. In fact, it looks a lot like the balls of light that we see on the news, that the Pentagon has referred to. Some people refer to these as angelic beings of light. But I had a 50-minute encounter. And I thought this was back 12, 13 years ago or so, I thought this was a UFO. I was actually not into any of the spiritual stuff, really. I wasn't a religious person. I didn't grow up in a religious household. I never even heard of Archangel Uriel, okay? So after I had my spiritual awakening and I went through this just terrifying dark night of the soul, I ended up eventually, realizing that I was beginning, to develop the ability of channeling. And I heard from Archangel Uriel. He was my very first archangel that I heard from. And the first time I heard Uriel, it came through pretty faintly. And I thought it was, this is terrible, but I thought it was the word urine. I had no idea. I had not a clue. But I grew to understand who I was hearing from, and that his name was Uriel. I looked him up on the computer, on Google. Of course, I've heard of Archangel Michael, and I'd heard of Gabriel and Raphael. And I did hear from Michael or Michael after Uriel. And then after that, I started hearing from, just not as much, but from Gabriel and Raphael. I heard from the Christ consciousness and the consciousness of the Ascended Master after Jesus Christ, and that's Abdul Baha. And I didn't know any of this stuff. I mean, I just knew nothing about nothing, honestly. I didn't know a thing. But I will be honest with you. So I came into all of this as like a person that didn't really know anything. I was focused on the whole ET thing. And so for people who are kind of newer to all of this, whether you've had some sort of spiritual experiences or ET experiences, I just want to make clear that both realms are very real. And I've had to go through both to understand. Now, there is within the UFO community some debate about whether these abductions were truly done by gray aliens all by themselves, or if in fact there was something else to all of this. But in other words, maybe a faction of human beings with ill intent. Let's just leave it at that. But whatever happened to me, it didn't turn me away from extraterrestrials. I didn't understand it at the time, but once I started hearing from the archangelics, they made it clear that they are physical beings. They are what we think of as extraterrestrial, okay? Yes, there's spiritual stuff, there's energetic stuff. All of that is true also. And I've experienced all of this. I've in my dark night of the soul, I actually, I spoke with a pastor, and based on actually I spoke with a pastor, and I also also went to the Catholic Church and spoke with them as well. I spoke with a father at a pastor, at a Catholic church about what I was going through during my dark night of the soul. I didn't know I was in a dark night of the soul. I didn't even know what was happening. I didn't understand that I'd had a spiritual awakening. I did not understand that it's very typical for when you start after a spiritual initiation, especially if you're a little bit older and you have enough life experience that you've had some difficulties, you've had some traumas and things, that all of that gets brought back up. And so I didn't understand about the whole purpose of what we would call the darkness is actually to bring a person closer to the light or to God, right? And I eventually, not actually all that long ago, started hearing from. Once again, you guys are probably going to laugh at me, but I heard from Elohim, and I remembered that name, and I was like, no, wait a minute, is that God? So once again, I had to go to Google and look it up. So yes, I heard from Elohim, and I started hearing just a few things, very much like just sort of almost counseling, almost a little bit like a parent, truly. And then the next name, and my understanding is there's actually up to 72 names of God. So the next name I heard was Yahweh. And so, and that is also God, or the prime creator. And so as somebody who has been through dark extraterrestrial activity, we'll just call it that for now. It could be in conjunction with humans, not really clear on all of that just yet. And perhaps for purposes to make people afraid during this time of ascension, and as we are becoming a spacefaring race, it's possible that there's a group that didn't want human beings to feel comfortable, with all of that up there. But by and large, the extraterrestrial realm is benevolent, and they're decent, and they understand what's been going on our planet. And I heard from the Christ consciousness that there's great concern, but they are here and they're helping, they are assisting. And then there are people like me. I was informed more than once, I believe 3 times now, twice from the archangelics and once from, I believe Yahweh will say, that I originated from somewhere else prior to being born. Just like everybody else, I was born and lived a normal life, and came in, I guess, on one of the levels of volunteers that beings from elsewhere who said they would come into the planet and assist during this time. So the first time I heard about this, I was told that I came from Beta Centauri and that I was here to act as an emissary between extraterrestrials and human beings. And most recently, I have heard that, and I'm not sure if this is because I've achieved ascension, and I was informed of this by Archangel Michael or Michael. I was informed, and then I heard not long after that from, I believe it was Yahweh, who said that I was an emissary. I'm in an emissarial role for angels and human beings. And so then this morning I heard that I'm an emissary for both extraterrestrials and the angelics. And so that does actually work beautifully with the scene experiencers that I've created. Scene means, it stands for Spiritual and Extraterrestrial Experiencers Network. And so my goal in doing all of this is I will be sharing more, I will be diving into more messages that I receive, and I have been sharing some of that with you, as well as just strange experiences. I mean, I've had poltergeist activity. I feel energy in my body. Sometimes it's in areas where, for example, in my hands, I have some arthritis. I have felt some energy focused in this area. I'm able to look at these lights in the sky, which are similar to back in World War II, the Foo Fighters. They kind of look like if you look at them and they're high enough up in the sky, they look like stars. They could be angelic beings of light. They could, but whatever you want to name them, there is some level. It seems to me that you have to attain a certain level of consciousness, and then once you do, at least for me, I'm able to hear a channel, and they will also move for me. They will move. They will get brighter, and then they will dim. And I've been invited to watch extraterrestrial craft kind of, sort of fade in and then fade out very briefly. It's just been incredible. But it's almost like my own little CE5 show. And I'm not really doing, I'm not even, to be honest, I haven't studied the protocols for CE5, but I've been able, I guess because I've attained a certain level of consciousness. And as part of that, I have actually I've been asked to, not only for health reasons, but I believe just generally for my vibration, for my consciousness to go organic. And so, as I mentioned, this is my organic juice. I really do eat and drink organically, almost exclusively. Not quite. It's hard to be 100% organic. There's no smoking. There's not much drinking of alcohol, very little at this point. Just try to be super healthy. And my understanding is that raises my vibration and thus my level of consciousness. And so it seems that I have attained God consciousness at this point. And so I will be sharing more and more things with you as time goes on. But I just kind of wanted to touch base with you guys, So for those of you who've been going through some strange things, because if you've seen an ET craft or you've seen these orbs that or angels, angelic beings of light, Foo Fighters, whatever you want to call them, based on my experience, you can start to experience a lot of very strange things. So you might hear things and see things that other people are not hearing and seeing. There may be some poltergeist activity around you. It's a very confusing time, honestly. So my feeling is that if we can all band together as experiencers, we can help one another. And that's really why I created this group. So as I continue to learn and go through things, I'm very happy to share. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's my soul's purpose to do this. So, and I'm very happy to do so. So anyway, that's it for right now, guys. I will wrap up, but I just wanted to, have that little chat with you. And I thank you so much for spending this time with me. And again, my name is Donna M. Atwood, and I am the founder of SEEN, the Spiritual and Extraterrestrial Experiencers Network. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.